and she handles our chat, and she also continues to be provocative during the, and I mean that in an intellectual sense, during the preparation. Yasi, you want to say anything about the topic?
Can you get back to me, like, after Scott?
Yeah, well, okay, that's fine. So, we're thrilled to have Scott here, because he does the engineering, but he also has a marvelous mind. And what I had hoped to do was to introduce Scott and play his piece of sound, because he has a terrific piece of sound. But you know what? Before we go to Scott, Marshall, I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. How did you do with the floods?
I'm doing okay. I just want you to know, Edmund is on stage. Edmund does record rooms. So you're aware, his name is Congressman John Kidover. I don't know if you want your room.
Congressman candidate Marshall, get the title right. Candidate Congressman John Kidover.
Well, I would just call you candidate Kidover since you're not the congressman. But okay. I just want you to have the information. That's all. You do with it what you please.
But
other than that,
He asked you about the flooding, not my presence, Marshall.
Okay, let's talk to Marshall.
The great candidate Kidover, the great one.
Let's talk about that.
That's Mark Levin's title. You're stealing it.
I know.
Mark Levin, the most yelling man on Fox News. Well, no. Hannity yells more than he does.
Well, I'd like.
I've been fairly decent, Alan. Busy, but good. My little brother was in town last week, and so we had a bunch of family time. And the week before that, I was at our ranch. I've just been, fairly busy for the last 2 weeks. How about yourself?
Okay. Good. Well, I'm glad that you're here. The reason we do these rooms is, for me, this is why I'm doing it. I have found, the candidate may really appreciate this, I have found giving money to candidates to be an incredibly unsatisfying experience. Candidate, you will be invited back at some point, but I don't like the way that was going. We have a culture here, and we don't talk over people, and I don't care who you are, we're going to maintain a respectful conversation, and I know you didn't know that because you're new to the room. You will be given a chance. But I do want you to know that giving money is profoundly unsatisfying for me, and I think for many of us, particularly when we end up losing. I gave a good deal of money to Charlie Crist, which I'm sure many of you won't be happy about, but I gave a good deal of money to Charlie Crist and was profoundly disappointed. And of course, I was disappointed in the results for Kamala. So I am interested in stimulating our involvement in society through this marvelous tool of Clubhouse, because I think cynicism is probably one of the most dangerous, pervasive part of Americanism, and I want to do my bit to fight it. So if somebody says, I didn't vote for him, so don't hold me responsible, if they mean, or I didn't vote, so don't hold me responsible, that's a problem. If someone says, all presidents lie, that is the problem. And tonight we are going to talk about truthfulness and lying. And I really want to get into this issue of all presidents lie, but I want to get into it with some degree of control, not like a normal Clubhouse insanity. So, because we all need reality testing, we absolutely have this room because I am eager to find as much agreement as I can, and I'm surprised when I find agreement with people who I didn't think I would agree with. We have some people, and Marshall is one of them, who I have found some real profound agreements with, even though we don't agree on everything. So I hope that before I end up pushing up daisies, I can share some of what I know, and this is why we're doing this Clubhouse. I have learned that people would far rather talk than listen. And a lot of people learn by sharing, and we have two methods open for sharing. One method is being on the stage, but actually only one person can talk at a time. The other method is through the chat. The chat will be active in this room, and this room is recorded. And the reason I'm doing this is because 3 years from now, people may want to know what's going on in America. and they will be able to see the chat in a real-time census of what's going on in the room. And I think in some ways that makes this better than TV. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has at least one, and they often get us into trouble. So I'm eager to help us separate opinions from facts. For example, an opinion is that the Washington, the January 20th, January 6th was a love fest. A fact is that 6 cops died. And I think part of us are all a little crazy in society right now because the truth is challenged everywhere. So tonight we're going to focus on a discussion about what we can do about it personally. We have 10 subjects that have come from our discussion in the past about doing the right things, not doing things right. I'm particularly concerned with the current president that he doesn't do the right things, and I don't give a damn if you do the things right if you're not doing the right things. So I don't want to blow you any further, but I am blessed to have another moderator, Scott. And Scott, would you like to introduce yourself and then play your sound?
I'm Scott. Hey, everybody. It's great to see you. I mod in several other rooms where some of you might know me from Critical Thinking Forum, and of course, Ask the Atheist and Ask Uncle Steve. I'm your friendly neighborhood club deck operator, and without further ado, I'm going to play a little clip from the great Paul Harvey, originating circa 1965.
If I were the devil, if I were the devil, if I were the prince of darkness, I'd want to engulf the whole world in darkness, and I'd have 1/3 of its real estate and 4/5 of its population, but I wouldn't be happy until I had seized the ripest apple on the tree, thee. So I'd set about, however necessary, to take over the United States. I'd subvert the churches first. I'd begin with a campaign of whispers. With the wisdom of a serpent, I would whisper to you as I whispered to Eve, do as you please. To the young, I would whisper that the Bible is a myth. I would convince them that man created God instead of the other way around. I would confide that what's bad is good and what's good is square. And the old I would teach to pray after me, Our Father, which art in Washington. And then I'd get organized. I'd educate authors in how to make lurid literature exciting so that anything else would appear dull and uninteresting. I'd threaten TV with dirtier movies and vice versa. I'd peddle narcotics to whom I could. I'd sell alcohol to ladies and gentlemen of distinction. I'd tranquilize the rest with pills. If I were the devil, I'd soon have families at war with themselves, churches at war with themselves, and nations at war with themselves, until each in its turn was consumed. And with promises of higher ratings, I'd have mesmerizing media fanning the flames. If I were the devil, I would encourage schools to refine young intellects, but neglect to discipline emotions, just let those run wild. Until before you knew it, you'd have to have drug-sniffing dogs and metal detectors at every schoolhouse door. Within a decade, I'd have prisons overflowing. I'd have judges promoting pornography. Soon I could evict God from the courthouse, then from the schoolhouse, and then from the houses of Congress. And in his own churches, I would substitute psychology for religion and deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who want it until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. What'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing.
Thank you, Scott. 50 years ago. Can you guys believe that? Does anybody on, let's talk about how we're going to do this now. I will invite veterans to the stage first because we know the culture of the room. But when you are on stage, you will stay on stage. Once you are invited, you will stay on stage unless you become disruptive. This room is not about forcing my opinion down your throat, but it is about having intelligent, carefully thought through conversations. I realize that people need time to think about what they're going to say, and I don't want to be obnoxious, but I have found lately that Clubhouse is more like listening to the man on the street or having a discussion with the man on the street than radio or television. So if you're going to open your mic, please know what you're going to say. We will become a little bit snippy if you just bloviate forever and don't say anything, because that's I find that hard to listen to, and I suspect many of you do as well. So with all that said, Yasi, do you want to introduce yourself now?
Hi everyone, I'm Yasi. I'm here to help. I read your chats. And that's all. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Now, does anybody else want to sit on the stage right now want to say anything? Okay. Now, my listener, I'm going to invite you back.
The great one, as I call him now. The great one.
Okay. But please do recognize that this is a place for intellectual discussion. It is not a place necessarily to promote your candidacy. I don't know much about your candidacy. How about if I give you 30 seconds to tell us about your candidacy, and then let's stick to the subject.
Sure. I'm running in the 16th district against Darren LaHood. He's a vaccinologist. He's created $20 trillion in debt over the course of his 10 years, and I'm a fiscally prudent conservative Republican running against what I view to be big government and the destruction of our American future.
Thank you for being so concise. I appreciate that. Now, I am curious, do you think misinformation is a part of the problem in America today?
Yeah, and on Clown House and in the media, I have seen every single possible combination of propaganda, lies, and misinformation. And that's the nature of our First Amendment and the publishing industry. So it's a little bit like you have to have enlightenment to know that there's this giant word communication, marketing, business clickbait game happening, which is basically brainwashing, misinformation, disinformation. And I think that's what the war on information and institutions is. But really, we have this misinformation war that we're all living in, and you have to be hip to be square.
You said something about who you are by calling this medium Clown House, and I don't appreciate it. If you want to insult somebody, then don't ask for my vote. If you're going to just talk about how bad vaccines are, then don't ask for my vote, because that's dishonest. We have a measles epidemic because we have an idiot in the White House. Now, I'm not going to debate whether Trump is good or bad with you, but I will say that vaccines are real, and if you don't believe that, I would suggest that you go back to the audience, because you and I will not get along.
Well, I mean, it's one topic. I view it as being more political than anything else. I mean, it's your opinion that vaccines are safe and effective. I just don't think that they're safe and effective. I think COVID-19 was a giant psyop, and I'm concerned about what our government did to us. I'm concerned about Pfizer, Moderna, J&J. There's a lot of information on X that people outside of X have never viewed and digested. It's just my opinion, though.
It is just your opinion, and I appreciate you acknowledging that. I also appreciate you recognizing that what's on X and what's in Clubhouse are not fact-checked. And I think that you can express your opinion about the vaccines all day until you become a public official and have a platform that I'm paying for. Now, once you become the president of the United States, as Donald Trump was in the COVID vaccine,
Really going far.
and you start putting out garbage about putting bleach in your veins or taking ivermectin, I submit that you are an incompetent leader. Do you have a problem with that?
Listen, if you have Trump derangement syndrome, that's a you problem, not a me problem.
Trump derangement syndrome. I'm talking about facts, and you're proving that you are interested in the war on the facts because you're calling me somebody with Trump derangement syndrome, and you're calling this clubhouse. Your whole method is to insult. You have not presented any interesting facts. If you have facts that the COVID vaccine, that the COVID epidemic wasn't real, I invite you to post them in the chat. In the meantime, I will leave you on stage, but you are on notice that any more of this kind of garbage, you will be removed. Thank you. Now, does anyone else have any thoughts?
Somebody's a little triggered.
Rick, welcome to the stage. What do you think about this topic?
I think it's a definitely topic worth discussing. I do believe in expertise. Whether it's somebody
She finally crashed out.
to my house
Girl, I
to
was
master
PayPal
carpentry
chick that I was messaging.
or to fix a washing machine. I want the best. I want an elitist washing machine repairman to work on my washing machine. I don't want somebody who just says, well, I read about it on the internet. I want somebody with experience who knows what they're doing. And I want the same thing with vaccine, researchers. I want the same thing with weather experts. I want the same thing with a nuclear submarine captain. I want the best person available. And we don't always get the best person available. And people make mistakes. Even the experts make mistakes. The difference between a good expert and a bad expert is a good expert will recognize their mistakes, admit to them, and fix it. That's what science
denounce
is.
anti-Semitism,
Science
unwavering
is
support for our Jewish students. We have a zero
doing
tolerance
experimentals
policy, and we will not.
and finding the best answer to what we know now, and then keep trying to disprove it. And I believe in science, and I believe in expertise. I do believe in doing my own research, but not. I will not. I believe in doing my research so that I can ask the right questions. I think that may be what I was trying to say is do your own research to ask the right questions, but if I'm researching nuclear science because they're going to build a nuclear plant
throughout Central
in
Texas,
my
families
area,
are waking up to see that we got a lot of.
I'm not going to take what I read on the internet as gospel. I'm going to try to go find somebody who's a nuclear physicist and engineer that really knows what they're talking about.
What is the
number
one thing
Try to figure out, use the internet to go, okay, what are the questions that I really need to know to say, yes, I want this in my area, or no, I don't want this in my area.
wants you to have it or not have it?
Rick, I appreciate that view, and one of the things that I admire about Scott so much, and one of the reasons, in addition to his engineering skills, but one of the things I really admire about Scott is he's doing this atheist work. He's putting a front back in fundamentalism. In other words, he's educated in religion. He's educated in philosophy. But he knows that he doesn't know it all, and he knows the difference between what is objectively true and what is subjectively true. What do you think?
I thought you were going to say my good looks and
Those are my. I don't put a huge premium on including a theological alignment to connect with people.
Which name were you from?
And yeah, I try to be
Lenya, also known as Lenya.
humble
and
and appropriate, and you know, yeah, and I like to keep a little light.
Well, and I think that's got value, but I also suspect that if someone came into your atheist room and spewed, and because I don't suspect it, I know it, because I've seen you do it, spewed information that was inconsistent with the conventional wisdom. For example, suppose they said Catholics don't believe in transubstantiation. It's kind of a stupid example, but I can't think of one in a hurry. You would push back on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. No, there's especially things about the Bible. I often find people say things about the Bible that are just so out of mainstream they're so out of line with just mainstream biblical scholarship, right? And not that we know everything about ancient history, but we know some things, right? I mean, there are facts and there are things that. So I mean, you do get people that come in and say just some insane things on the weekends, and yeah. I mean, I think I mean. Look, I think, especially today, right? I mean, there's a war in the church. There's a war. This is, the great book I've quoted from a few times. I think Gary's paradigm on bullshit. I mean, it's just the more this bullshit happens, the more it tears the social fabric, right? And Putnam and others have done this work on social trust, right? Social trust is the glue that holds a society together, right? I mean, so if you have high levels of social trust, so many other things go well, and the bullshit and the sort of just voracious lying also it erodes the social trust, and that is the foundation.
I couldn't agree more. That is actually why we started this work. Hopefully I want to kind of figure out why am I so fascinated by this particular issue. And I get very frustrated very quickly in a lot of clubhouse rooms when I don't have the tools in my hand. Because a lot of times we're just yelling at each other. I can find agreement. I have found agreement with some very conservative people in Gary's room. Now, there are areas where we don't agree, but I will find areas of agreement when I can, and I will celebrate those when I can. But if someone is going to just insult me and say, you have Trump arrangement syndrome, they obviously aren't interested in a dialogue. They're interested in a performance. Today I heard Donald Trump say, somebody asked him about Putin, and he said, well, I don't trust anybody. That's a problem. When you have a president, I don't give a damn whether you're a Democrat or a Republican. When you have a president who says, I don't trust anybody, that means he doesn't trust the American people. Look back on Ronald Reagan. One of the things, whether you agree with Ronald Reagan or not, one of the things that was clear about him is he trusted the American people. I can't think of another president in history who would go out and foster mistrust. And I think that's one of the reasons we're in such trouble as a nation right now. Yossi and I had quite a dialogue earlier today about freedom. And the interesting thing was that she was struggling with the difference between how our tax dollars are spent and what we're free to do. Now, I have been a benefactor of society's largesse, probably more than my fair share. I am disabled. Because I am disabled, I got fabulous special education. I learned to read Braille. I learned to do all sorts of things for myself. Maybe society spent too much money on me, and I'm willing to acknowledge that possibility. But maybe the federal government has a place in dealing with abnormal situations like mine or like others, and maybe small can't deal with the more difficult things. This is why I at some point want to have a discussion about Obamacare. Obamacare is mathematically a good idea, whether you're a conservative or a liberal. I once had quite a dialogue with somebody who was going on about how bad Obamacare was. And so, he was just, was a bus driver, bitching about Obamacare. So I said, so you don't think people should pay what they're able to pay? And he said, oh, well, it used to be that we had these public hospitals, and they were taking it low. So I said to him, so what you believe is that someone who doesn't pay into the system get it for free. And that's essentially what the people who don't want to pay their taxes are with respect to their premium with respect to Obamacare. I mentioned earlier I was going to talk about life, presidential life. There are two things that Pete Obama said that people have called irrational. And I think it's worth discussing. One is your premium a tax? In a sense, I can make a point that the premium was a tax. Now, I don't think he lied in the same way that Donald Trump lied when he said I didn't rate it or those 33 felonies weren't anything. This was a different angle on the truth. Your Obamacare premium is essentially funding people who you may choose not to be in.
We gotta get together.
One of the ways I used to illustrate this is that if you have a private pool
happy hour at one
and you invite somebody over and you want to pee in your own pool,
I gotta be.
but if you go to a public pool and you pee in that pool, people are going to object. And I think at some profound level, people understood that when they talked about health care. So that was one thing that, you could call a lie, but I don't think it was the same kind of a lie as some of the... January 6th was a love fest. It's not the same kind of a lie. You could also... he also said that if you like your doctor, you can keep it. And you can prove situations where that wasn't true. Obamacare is about cost containment, but if you were willing to pay the higher premium, the gold level, chances are you would have been able to keep your doctor. So I think comparing lies is useful. Marshall, I'd love to know what you think about some of this. You've been very quiet.
I am messing with my dog right now. Can you come back to me if you don't mind?
I don't mind. If you want to connect with your dog, that's perfectly fine. But keep him out of
Alan.
Ohio.
Alan, I did ask Grok, what's the estimate of annual fraud in Medicare and Medicaid? It says that the Healthcare Anti-Fraud Association estimates that fraud accounts for $100 billion annually across both programs, though this figure is considered conservative by some investigators. Additionally, for 2024, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS, reported improper payments of $31.7 billion for Medicare fee-for-service, $20 billion for Medicare Part C, $3.58 billion for Medicare Part D, $31 billion for Medicaid, totaling $87 billion across CMS programs. So, I mean, those are the numbers about fraud in the system. I mean, isn't that a major concern to you?
Let me go back. You said you just asked Grok, right?
That's what I
You
said.
asked Grok. That's where you got the data, right?
That's correct.
Who is behind Grok?
X platforms and X investors.
And specifically who?
Are you asking for me to say Elon Musk?
I am. Does he have an axe to grind?
Listen, it scrapes the data from basically Google search results.
Information, garbage in, garbage out.
Just Google it then. What does Google tell you about Medicare, Medicaid? You want me to do a cross comparison?
I'm not going to argue about whether there is or is not Medicare fraud. I believe there is Medicare fraud. I also believe that you are not using a fair measure and you're condemning a whole system. And if you believe that we shouldn't pay for people's Medicare, that's fine. If you want to go after fraud, then go after fraud. But don't tell me a guy who won't tell us what he paid for his taxes is interested in fraud. That guy did not pay his taxes, and why should I pay mine? At least I have no evidence that he paid his taxes. If he paid his taxes, then he would have been willing to share. So don't come up here and try to pretend that you're so smart when you're using a platform and you're admiring someone who believes in teaching people to say stupid things like meet the dishonest press. You're using the same techniques. If your objective is just to attack, then you don't belong in this room. And I don't think you belong in the Congress, frankly. And I'm not going to give you a penny of my money, and I hope the Republican Party doesn't, because you're just trying to use this as a manipulation. What do you think about Donald Trump telling us all about how he was going to bring out the Epstein files, and then he doesn't? I mean, we're having an irrational conversation. I'm getting irrational because you brought up something irrational.
That there's $100 billion of fraud that the taxpayers pay out every year and continue to draw us deeper into debt. I'm bringing up legitimate information and data.
Deeper into debt. How much money did Donald Trump increase the federal deficit by? Google it.
$2 trillion.
No, 12 trillion. And most of that was not because of most of that was not because of COVID. Most of that was happened before COVID. And let me give you one more point. If you think that the federal deficit is going to be solved by the tax called tariffs, then you don't know anything about math.
Well, how do you propose that we eliminate this deficit and the national debt?
Well, that's not what this room is on. If you would like to come back for the room that we have on national deficit, I would be happy to do that. But you're pulling this way off subject. So I don't know how much you really want to participate and how much you just want to perform. You're welcome to stay if you want to come back.
You're the super mod. It's your room. I'm just here to give you my opinion like everybody else.
Okay.
Well, I wish to say though, I think, so John, my friend here, I don't doubt the Medicaid fraud numbers, but the question is, where's the fraud, right? And I think this idea, so
Here we go. We took
term
him off
floating around,
topic.
conservative media, which I consume because I like to listen to the last week, called Medicaid Kings, right? And it's play off of the welfare queens in the Reagan era. And this idea is that that's where the Medicaid fraud is, and that's why we need the work requirements. I mean, that's not, you can't differ. What am I going to do? Oh man, I really pulled one over on the government. I got 4 knee replacements. It was awesome. You know, that's not where the fraud is, right? The fraud is on providers and people like on the other side of the ledger. It's not the recipients. It's provider fraud, right? I mean, that's right, and that's one thing that is not
that happened in the Rio Grande Valley like crazy. Like,
and that's not talked about in the big beautiful bill, right? That's not. No, it's interesting.
They address provider fraud, but the section is smaller than recipient fraud.
Yeah, because it's not. You know, it's very interesting. It's just not. You don't get. It's. Well, first off, I think. You know, it's part of the base, right? I mean, you know, it's part of the donors and things like that. But yeah, no, I just think that's. This is where currently this idea, and also in Arkansas, I forget what the other state is. There's 2 states that have done work requirements, and they don't work, right? I mean, they've done work requirements, and it doesn't. The participation in the labor force didn't go up, but the number of people on the coverage did go down. And then when they figured out it didn't work, they still kept them, which shows, I think, in some level, right, what's going on with those requirements, right? I mean, the mission accomplished, right? The desire was to thin the rolls, and that's why it didn't matter that the program didn't work, right? Because I think the actual goal was achieved. So.
Yeah, and when we talk about fraud, if you take a look at the difference in fraud between Medicare and between private insurance. Now, Medicare now includes a ton of private insurance. There's private insurers that provide, I think maybe 60% of all people on Medicare use Medicare Advantage, which is pretty much run by the private insurance system. So shouldn't the private insurance system be catching this fraud? It should be both of them, actually, if they're both doing it. But when they use different accounting methods, different methods of measuring fraud, but there's plenty of fraud going on in the totally private insurance markets.
And that's the problem, Rick. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, and I think that we forget about that. When we say, well, private companies do everything much better than the government, until you look at what is the actual percentage of private businesses that fail within the first 3 years. It's massive.
And the evidence.
And if you look
that
at
we need.
It's military intelligence in the circumstance that we've been living in.
When you bring in
with the national
an entity that is looking for profit, that's their main goal. Their goal is not service. That's a byproduct of their profit. And I live in Canada, as you all know, and we have socialized medicine here. For the most part, there is inroads in some quarters of this private partnership coming in. For example, the Ontario government right now is hiring nurses, private nurses, rather than putting those monies into the system itself, which it should be doing. They're spending, however hundreds of millions of dollars for these nurses, rather than putting that into the system to encourage and produce more nurses. But the private aspect of it, I think, is what's it's not going to work. It doesn't work in your medical field. And I looked some time ago into the United States as a whole puts in more money for their social programs than any other democracy, but they get the least return on those dollars, the least, because it's privatized. In many, many respects, it's privatized. And so again, it's the product isn't the service. The end goal is the profit.
At some point, though, we're paying $1 trillion in interest annually now on the debt. That's only going to keep expanding. Like, cuts and fiscal prudence have to come in. People are going to have to take cuts on their pensions even. I mean, if we're serious about, turning the tide and not going into a debt spiral, we really have to look at the numbers and be honest about what it is, what the return on investment is, and the cost benefits of what we're spending money on. Is $1 trillion a year enough for the military?
Bankrupt 7 times, knows exactly how to do that. Steve, I'd love to hear what you think.
Steve, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm kind of in the middle of something. I've just got bits and pieces. Are we focusing on the deficit now?
No, Steve, we're focusing on the truth. The deficit has been a side angle that someone is trying to block and cause us not to talk about the real issue. The discussion is the war on the truth, and that partially deals with things like trying to attack educational institutions like Harvard. It deals with Donald Trump saying he doesn't trust anyone. It deals with those kinds of things. So if you want to think about it, I just wanted you to feel.
Yeah, I think I have a few thoughts about it. I mean, that's a knife that's cut in two ways, in my opinion, because, some of these educational institutions, I think, has veered off a little bit from the mission that they should be on. And I think they brought a little bit of this on themselves. On the other hand, you got to be careful how you address this, because, you got to have your premier institutions. There's got to be a certain level of appreciation and respect for them to be functional and be critical to the education of the next generation. So I think it's a nuanced question. I think there's room for criticism both ways, Alan.
I love that, Steve. Do you mind if I continue this dialogue that you opened with Gary one time on a question that might be very relevant to the topic of the room, and that is sexual preference in education?
You mean as far as hiring practice or what?
No, I mean that you said in Gary's room about
not just to manage or to survive disasters, but to thrive in the face of climate, economic, and public health challenges.
I don't remember the paper, and this is why I wanted you would help some student who hadn't properly talked about heterosexual relations. I'd like to hear.
Well, and this is where this becomes really dicey, because this particular student, he came from a poor family. He got a lot of scholarships, and his scholarship was dependent on a certain GPA average, and he was given an assignment, and the assignment was basically this: I want you to pick out, I forget the exact number, there's given a number of people that could be used to go to a planet and repopulate the planet. So obviously, if you're going to do something like that, you'd want people that had medical knowledge, you'd want people that had engineering knowledge, and obviously, if you're going to repopulate, you'd have to have a certain ratio of men to women. But the professor, for whatever reason, other than, I don't know, lowered his grade because he didn't put a homosexual as part of the group. And the guy was in distress, and it was at odds with the objective of what the professor had asked him to do, but he was being punished because he didn't go a certain ideological line. And I ended up having to intervene for him because I knew people in the faculty at the college, and got to some people higher up that got it reversed. But he's in total distress for something that was just completely out of bounds as far as I was concerned, Alan.
Steve, that is great that you did that. Do you see a difference between that and claiming with absolutely no proof that schools were putting sandboxes in elementary schools because people were claiming to be counts?
It's putting sandboxes because kids were.
You heard this trope that some kid identified as a cat and therefore they had to put a sandbox in the elementary school.
Yeah, if that happened, it'd be malfeasance on the part of the administration to do something.
Absolutely. You said the magic word, Steve. If that happened, I love what you did in that situation. But to those of us who are concerned about truthfulness, it sounds to me like you did the right thing. It sounds to me like that student, it was out of terms with the objective, and I would definitely not, if I were a professor, think that it was right to say that a kid had to put somebody who was gay on the planet to make it work. On the other,
because Alan, the thing you'd want a broad spectrum of knowledge, engineering skills, you'd want medical skills, you'd want people that had literary skills, things that create a functional society. And then you'd need to make this thought experiment work. Then you'd need a certain ratio of men to women to repopulate. And it was so asinine as to not be believed. And like I say, what disturbed me the most about it was if he wasn't totally dependent on the scholarships for his education, he could have scripted it, but he was. And luckily at the time, because I'd been forced out of a career and I was taking some college courses and I was older and just happened to be down there. I think I was like 41 or 42. I actually was friends with some of the people that was in the faculty, so I was able to intervene for him.
what I love about this story, Steve, and what I love about this interaction I'm having with you right now is the first time I heard this story, I will confess to hearing it with a biased ear. And having, part of it is because, this is a smaller room and we can have the full dialogue, and part of it is because it's not up to me, it is up to me whether to stay or not, which may have something to do with the way I think about it. Where it initially occurred, I heard the same thing as somebody saying, college turned my kid gay. And that is not what you said, right? I mean, we all have this problem of mishearing things. If you had
No, not at all. That isn't what and if I can make that, then I didn't articulate myself well or clearly enough to leave that impression, Alan.
Steve, you do a terrific job given the circumstances of your life of being true to yourself, and I really admire that. Even when I disagree with you, I admire that. No.
Well, Alan, now here's one creed I tried to live by. And, I know I'm not everyone's particular cup of tea, and that's okay, because everybody's got to live in their own skin, and I'm fine with that. But I want, when someone evaluates me, to say there is a man without guile, because I don't want to have guile.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you.
I was thinking about this one. Now, I don't know exactly what the assignment was, or exactly what the person wrote in their paper. If the only purpose was to repopulate the planet, and not to handle all of the other things on the planet, that would be one thing. And in that send up a sperm bank with a whole bunch of women. That'd save a whole lot of weight on the rocket ship, so that you could get more supplies and things on there. But there's so many ways that paper could have been written, and if the professor failed somebody just because they didn't include a homosexual, but didn't give any reason for that failure, that would be a bad professor, I would think. But if they failed somebody for including a
And to help us get
homosexual,
started, it is my privilege to introduce a leader who truly understands the challenges that we face because he lives them too. And his sweet
that's
76% of
kind of
homeless
a thing without knowing the exact details
Moving beyond me.
and the assignment. But
Rick, could I just intervene? I don't mean to cut you off. Do you mind? If not, I'll
Go ahead.
he didn't fail the guy, but what he done, he lowered his grade where the student had to maintain a certain GPA. And the lowering of the grade, it was absurdly high GPA that the kid had to maintain to keep his scholarships. But it was just enough to knock him out of his scholarship.
and that's something that
Inside of here, we have some of the rare over the tops, which I'm sure you can guess why. They go over the top of your head instead of having arms that rest on your ears. I know there was a guy that actually wore these in the Olympics. One thing I was worried about is like, what if you have a big head? How stretchy are they? So let's see. And they have a good amount of stretch. There are a bunch of lookalikes out there, but I think these look good. They have the Made in USA on the arm. These pads are soft and not hard, and the holes on the frame look like the ones I've seen online. Let's try them on. Oh man, they're made out of plastic, so they're really lightweight. I love the thinking out of the box on these. Would I wear them? Probably not. I'll have more piece. Inside of here, we have some of the rare.
based on merit, and people have to take into consideration in a situation like that. I gotta go. That's not baby. It must be money. Where the fucking back?
My wife and I have a kind of a disagreement, and I think it would be interesting to hear what the people on stage think.
are equipped not just to manage or to survive disasters, but to thrive in the face of climate.
5 heat wave, it became abundantly clear that
Now all I can think of is Sandusky, but yeah. Now I'm trying to think about it, and I didn't make a note on it.
screening and all this talking about it does exciting content.
Does everybody remember when Joe Paterno was pushed down in the football coaching ranks for looking the other way when there was the abuse of a younger person? Does everybody remember that?
I remember it well because Joe Turner was always an idol of mine when I played football.
Yep, mine too. And what I love about the point that Rick is making is that I can imagine being from my generation, and Steve, you may feel the same way, that if the administration came in and says, you will not make an evaluation on a football player based on sexual preference, you would have found that so vile that you would have said, I'm just going to look the other way on anything that deals with this because I don't understand it. It wouldn't have been a malicious thing you would have done. It just would have been saying, I don't understand this, and therefore I'm not going to participate in it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so, Alan. I don't know if anyone else was going to comment. You know, there's one caveat that I think a lot of people don't know about that particular incident. And I think this is the case, especially, I don't know how many people here has ever had to manage an athletic team. I've coached 2 different sports. I was a 3-sport athlete. There's a culture in sports, and the culture is controlled a lot by the head coach and his imprint that he puts on the team. A team will reflect the head coach, and I think in Paterno's case, he should have retired like 5 or 10 years before he did, because I think what Paterno was doing, he was being a figurehead in name only, and the team kind of just went off the rails, and he was just trying.
Talking about that place.
Very famous. I've eaten there a few times. I forgot the name. Something Mahal. Really good butter chicken. They have even better ones in Delhi now.
Grak is weighing in. It was invented in the 1950s by Kundan Lal Gujral. Kundan Lal Gujral.
You still run Twitter Space, Pepe? Right? You still be using Twitter Space?
No.
Yeah, it is kind of boring. And you can't really pack people up on there. You can, but like rarely. They get too much. Amazing. No, man. You should join Twitter Space.
No, this app is more than enough.
Hey, you pussy.
Thank you.
So, I just wanted to make a room about like what is an American, and so, I have my opinion of what an American is pretty specific.
What is your specific definition?
I think I'm the most American out of everybody here.
You have to be somebody that was you're a white American, or there's a few Hispanic people that have been here for a few hundred years.
Hispanic people have been on this continent for thousands of years.
Well, I'm talking about in the United States, and then you have.
The Spaniards have been here for thousands of years, Knuckles?
But Arizona used to be Mexico, Minnesota, California, so.
Yeah, there's barely any Mexicans here.
And you're not Mexican, stop it, nigga.
That were slaves, and then you have the Native Americans, but most of these people are, they're not, like, I don't like that. I mean, I won't say I dislike him, but I think he's kind of the guy who tweeted that earlier, but I agree with that. Like, these are not Americans. Ilhan Omar is not a fucking American, never will be an American.
I agree as in a Somali. Somalis, we are not Americans, bro. We have our own homeland.
Well, then go back to your homeland. Take it over from the terrorists that are running it.
We have motherfuckers. Motherfuckers built like light bulbs. Yeah, take the ass. Can I chime in? Can I say what's an American? If that's okay. I want to chime in. Thank you. An American.
I don't think Pepe was actually finished business. Why don't you let Pepe finish?
No, I mean, I was doing others. Oh, the replays are on. That's right. I gotta take those off. It doesn't give you the option when you first open it from the hallway.
Yes, it do. If you go through the signals, it will tell you.
Is anybody going to mention business? I hope you're going to mention the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and maybe the founding fathers.
Brother, this is my opinion, and I will tell you what an American is. You could rebuttal after I'm finished, okay? So what an American is somebody with obesity, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, cancer, mental health disorder, drug addicts, especially opioid crisis, alcohol, sexually transmitted infection, STIs, high stress and burnout, insomnia, diabetes, issue. I'm not done. Gun violence. So you go ride fucking boats all day. Loneliness, isolation, school.
Okay, hold on. I'm not done. School food. All right. We may have been on code yesterday regarding women, but now, there's only a few people that get to call themselves American. That is the whites. That is the black descendants of slaves, the Native American, the small group of Hispanic people that so happen to be living in New Mexico and Texas for hundreds of years. The rest of you are a bunch of, you're not Americans. at all. Nobody's gonna tell us what Americans are. We know what the fuck Americans are.
But I'm telling you.
No, wait. I feel that I'm the most American here because I just got here. Just like how the white man just got there in the 1500s.
Nope.
So, yeah,
You're black.
yeah, anybody squatting on somebody else's land is just an American, you know? You're squatting, I'm squatting, so we're just Americans.
Drink an ass on somewhere else. Like,
Okay, but you know, our businessman, is he Somali?
Yeah, he is.
Well, you're
Anybody who came here on a boat or a plane is American.
Whoa. No, give it to your loud mic.
But you guys do know that there is
I'm in public, sorry.
of Somali pirates robbing and crucifying, taking over our Navy ships abroad in the Red Sea, over there in East Africa. We're just passing by and then they fucking take over Navy ships. It happened a lot back in the day. Are y'all not aware of that?
Our very first war.
They killed a lot of
I got
Fala, xerife.
It doesn't help Trump to use the Epstein files to damage former presidents or even billionaires. I mean, he's got to use it for some type of leverage, and he's going to use it in the background. He's never going to make it public. If he wants Mark Benioff to go bend his butt cheeks so Peter Thiel can make the hot spicy sausage, that's exactly what Trump's going to do in the background. But he's not going to let you know what he's doing. You know, the president. Look at George Washington. He used spies. He used misinformation, disinformation, and secrecy to run the early government. So, you know, the more Trump says, the more he's going to fuck it up. And that's my opinion. Well, you know what? They need to audit Bill Gates and maybe send his ass to jail for tax evasion and fraud. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg too.
All of us.
White Italians have the same features.
They used to call.
But y'all have the same features as Italian white people.
All right, so I do want the blacks and the whites to cooperate with each other, and I'm putting a headshot on every single foreigner on the stage, or that is willing to come in here. So if any of you know of any Beaners or Caribbeans or Africans or any of these fucking pieces of shit, just go ahead and have them come in and speak their piece, and fuck them. I hope they get deported and they starve when they get back.
But how many Africans do you know say, "Oh, I'm cooking pasta"? Not many. Only Somalis.
She's probably the dumbest person I've met in my life.
No, I'm not dumb. I'm talking about my anecdotal experience. So you don't eat
So let's
pasta
not
with
focus on.
bananas?
There's many different types of dirty foreigner. Okay, we don't need to just focus on.
No, I'm asking him. So, businessman, do you like pasta?
No, I don't like
Businessman, do
pasta.
you like pasta?
No, I don't. I like rice and chicken and banana. That's what I like.
I know, and you put bananas in your pasta.
Is that
Y'all the only people that put bananas in Alfredo. That shit is disgusting.
Yeah, okay.
Man,
Well, let's
your
not focus
piece.
on the
Who
Somalis.
puts bananas in their pasta?
Hopefully, Donald Trump ends up, cleaning out all of the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, and all of those five-headed, nappy-headed, people.
Oh,
We'll get sent right back to Somalia.
Yes, we do have big foreheads,
Have you ever been to the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota, Pepe?
No.
I have.
And what do you see when you go to the Mall of America in Bloomington, Minnesota?
I mean, of course, we already know it's a highly Somali and already some Ethiopian, East African, period, population in Minnesota. What's her name? What's the lady name? Irmi Almar, whatever her name is. It's a
Ilhan Omar.
So
that's fine.
if she committed fraud,
The biggest refugee state for Ethiopians and Somalis.
if she committed immigration fraud when she married her brother so he could get citizenship, why can't the FBI go in there and arrest her right now?
What are you gonna do about it? You guys are fucking retards and you allowed it. Yeah, we all do that. I fucking married my sister so I could bring her back over here.
That's why we need to deport. That's why we need to deport all of these people.
We do this all the time. It's like a actually well-known thing in Somali culture. We literally bring all our family and we go back home. We do a fake marriage. We take a couple pictures. These are fucking sisters and brothers, and then we fly them back to fucking Canada or America. We do this all the fucking time. Ilhan Omar did the same shit. Who gives a fuck? Do something.
See, and that's exactly why ICE are sweeping up the streets the way they're doing it now. Exactly with no fucking mercy. No fucking mercy, bro. Keep talking. Keep fucking talking.
That's why we don't like you motherfuckers over here.
No, I just want to know.
Give motherfuckers a chance, and you see what they do with the you see the entry these motherfuckers to come over here.
You heard it straight from the horse's mouth.
Hold on.
Anyone I'm fucking
tasting a banana Alfredo sauce. A banana Alfredo sauce. Anybody would be interested in trying that?
If you guys want me to
That's
on this banana Alfredo shit.
I can't even tell you another hack we do.
That's what they eat.
Somali family has
Somalis
hundreds of
eat that.
thousands of dollars just chilling in their home. We know how to scam the system. You guys are fucking retards. That's why you guys are all broke. We act broke, but we have money in our house.
What?
We know how to beat the system.
And listen, sweetheart, America is
You
slow,
fucking kidding me?
but it's not stupid. The system is perfecting itself.
American.
And it's reaching up to the game being played by all y'all immigrants.
Scamming ass bastard.
Someone said
You have women on the stage right now that's very successful that I have spoken to personally.
Somebody said
Very successful.
You know your cousin
Fucking
is
asshole.
Hey, when are y'all gonna release the Epstein file?
Hopefully they get released soon.
Yeah, because is your boy Trump in it?
I don't know. Why don't you go back to Nigeria, Holmes?
How the fuck you know I'm from Nigeria? How the fuck you know I'm from Nigeria?
Because it says so on your profile.
Little pee-pee.
Man, you've been on this app for years. We know who the fuck you are. Stop it.
Oh, okay.
They all must go home, every single one of them. The American dream was not for a bunch of third worlders to come over here and say, "Oh, I'm just as American as you." No, you're not. You stay, motherfuckers. You guys are not related. You're not of the lineage.
Pee-pee, what about the folks?
Blood and soil.
What about the folks that we stole 400 years ago? You gonna send them back?
No, I said they're already American.
They are? Really?
Yep.
Slaves? Wow.
Yep. You guys are jealous.
Jealous that my ancestors were slaves?
In fact, I hope that hopefully there'll be a huge, massive, operation where they, young men are encouraged to join the military and help assist in the facilitation of removing people. And a lot of them will be black, young, patriotic Americans, and they will remove all of you filthy people. All of you need to go home.
Aren't you Mexican?
No.
So why does your profile look like you?
So I'm an octoroon. I'm a quarter black.
And how are they gonna kick us out? Please explain.
Well, with handcuffs and put you on a plane while you're shackled.
Yeah.
How many guns?
Have you heard of bounty hunters? Have you heard of capitalism? Trump might issue licenses for bounty hunters.
No, but we collect guns. A lot of Somalis collect guns in our
Well, then you better be a good shot.
It'll be fun.
What happened during Black Hawk Down? Black Hawk Down. Skinny's in the tree. 3 o'clock. They were shooting them all over the fucking place. It was like 30 to 1.
Did you not watch the video of us dragging Americans in the street? I was there.
Yeah, after they killed like several hundred of them.
Fucking celebrating. We fucking did it.
What? Yeah, but they were literally. It was like a 1 on 30. That was the casualty rate.
Celebrating fucking cowards, bro. It was not even the Somali army. It was a bunch of fucking tribes from the fucking neighborhood. It was not even a fucking army. You were fucking fighting the village.
No, they got killed.
You were fighting the village and they ran away.
You don't know. You don't know anything.
Okay, we've had enough foreign subversion on the stage. Let's enough business. Go ahead and mute up.
We lost some, and we came out and wrecked the fuck out of you motherfuckers.
Bro, you were fighting civilians and you guys ran away the next day.
Don't use that AK-47.
We were
Yeah,
done. We were done.
They were actually
We gave you
I
mercy.
was not the military. I was actually not the Somali.
Business, I'm reporting you this conversation and sending this recording to the Minneapolis FBI and ICE and DOJ. I'm going to have you deported by Friday. Pack your bags and get ready.
I've killed Somalis myself. Americans.
Okay, nice.
Okay, great. FBI, I hope you just heard that. His name is Business. The profile ID is business.way. Okay, you'll be there Friday at 8 a.m. to kick the door and take him away?
So,
Great.
Let's get back to it. So what do they say are the positives about diversity and immigrants? You get more, I don't know, let's say Ethiopian food. Where those fucking faggots don't even use utensils. They eat with their fucking hands. It was fucking disgusting. I had to go there. And, even to that, I tried it once. It was gross. Then diverse restaurants, so you can see a bunch of ugly foreigners. Like, ugh. What do we accomplish by having like really shitty Asian drivers? What do they do? Asians even create. They're good little.
What you can't be rude. Are you staring at my face and telling me your ass ugly? I'm staring at my face and blocking customers. Not fat vanilla mocha for a lame.
I mean, there's just nothing good.
Look, I apologize.
We need to save the American people from these filthy foreigners.
And you gotta treat your colleagues.
I do. Oh my God.
Dirty
I haven't seen a case since medical
You guys
school.
are just. You
There have
guys
been a lot of
suck.
technical
The
advances
Arabs
since
that
then.
live next to you suck.
Interesting.
All of you fucking
Come in for a concert.
Indians, don't get me
I think
started.
I can help you.
Fuck all of
You
you
made a
people.
bone
Every
grafted
single
from the
one of
back
you
of your
sucks my
skull.
fucking dick.
Sounds worse than
You
it
get
is.
stomach cancer and AIDS.
Fix the
And
jump
you get
here
deported. Then
by
you
adding
fucking die
value
once you
deposits,
get
greater
deported.
support,
Why are all the white women
and
on
reposition the angle of your jaw, which should have a positive effect on your breathing, eating, speaking.
How about French kissing?
taking over all your women?
Intimate.
You had you this time when you were younger.
Enough of the subversion.
Dad was a janitor.
So many fucking
My house covered soap. When I was born, I had so many medical problems.
Why
I
are you
kicked off.
kicking them out? Like the only,
Guess it was just something
the
I
only
wanted to
African,
live with, you know.
one of the only African voices in the state. No, why are you doing that?
Let's talk about you. Are you Igbo or are you Yoruba?
Oh, so the white people actually knows what Igbo and Yoruba is.
Yeah, which kind of dirty Nigerian are you?
The one's about to drink your girl. Igbo is Igbo.
And you guys are the master race of the Nigerians, I hear.
There's no master race.
Try to send you guys back. Go ahead and be master race back there. Good
Why don't you bring business back up? You scared of it?
No, you just like over talking too much. We're trying to make this American
He's
centric.
making a lot of sense though.
No.
Yeah, bring it back up.
Really? He's admitting to fraud. He's admitted that he's murdered Americans. He's making sense.
I want them to start deporting the Nigerians as fast as they're deporting the Mexicans. You jealous of Nigerians? No, I just want you to go home so you can take your little asses back and fix up your shitty countries. You jealous? Cause and they're scammers. We have to wake up to you. You jealous because your women love us?
Brother, not only that, at least Nigerians were never slaves. Your ancestors were fucking cowards. You guys fucking pick cotton for fucking like. And your woman were raped by a white man.
Hold on, business. You keep on coming off mic, and then other people.
Hold on, you're letting me off, dirty African. The fact that you were never slaves in your country, if you still have to be refugees, that's fucking diabolical. There's not a country in Africa that I would want to go to. The Nigerian Delta, the 1% of Nigerian. Let me tell you, I'm gonna wrap up real quick. The 1% of Nigerian. Shut up, nigga.
Hey, you filthy fucking Arab! Shut the fuck up and let him finish.
So 1% of those Africans in Nigeria get the money, and they're poisoning the water in the Nigerian Delta. The people, and then they want Americans to come and build the wells. Fuck dirty Nigerians. Deport facts. They're worse than the Mexicans.
Yeah, you just might be sold you for leather bags. You just that's what you got.
Water over there. What the fuck are you talking about?
Brother, you guys were only good for one thing.
Why did Black Hawk Down happen? It's because literally you had one rebel leader, and he hold on. Let me finish. Dude, this is why you got moved down. You had this militia leader who ended up seizing, UN food aid, like rice bags, and then it was about to start a civil war. I mean, that's how desperate your people are. You guys literally die of common diseases and starvation.
No, you're actually wrong. There was already a civil war, and they killed like over 500,000 Somalis, and he didn't want the U.S. to give any food to the other tribe because he was trying to genocide them, and that's why the fucking Americans came in allegedly. But then they wanted to take over fucking Mogadishu and get rid of that fucking rebel, and fucking try and take over Somalia, and they understood that, and they fucking murdered the motherfucker. Let us fight amongst each other. Why the fuck do you want to get involved?
I agree. We should have let them kill each other.
Yeah, let us kill each other. Mind your fucking business.
All right, hold on. We have another foreign-born spick from the Dominican Republic on the stage. What the fuck do you have to say, mother? Your ass should get deported ASAP.
Hey, I'm a water spick, and also my family's wealthy, so you can send me back home. I don't care.
Good. Get the fuck out.
We have several homes I can go live in. I'll be okay.
Fucking faggot. But anyways, besides the point, this is how it goes. Mecca is soon, you know that.
all that, you feel me? So therefore, if we go into a war, Trump will be president until the trumpet blows, until the world ends. So who want to do that? Because I'm a Trump Republican. Like, literally, who will get another presidency if Trump declares to go in war like the one president did, and he did it for, like, what, 3 elections, and it was a whole war. The World War I, World War II, he was dead. So how would that? And second, this is how it goes. First off, eradication of all homosexuality, because Michelle Obama forced her husband, my uncle, right, to fucking do, what was it? The gay marriage. That's what caused the evil eye to come into America. Second, anyways, besides the point, anybody want to debate anything. We could debate agriculture, we could debate religion.
No, I'm already getting tired of these stupid fucking Arab.
Listen, you mad.
You go ahead and shut your filthy mouth. Put a muzzle on your fucking. Yeah. God damn.
Yeah, we should blow all that shit up. I agree with it.
Fuck all you people. No, what we should do is fucking like literally like bomb their fucking country so they come back to like a glass parking lot where the sun radiates off of it and cooks these dirty Arabs.
Don't forget, they're passing legislation to make sure that these people aren't counted in the census, so we can redistrict, get more Republicans, and stop them from voting. If they don't have IDs and they're illegal or they're here illegally and voting, they're going to be arrested and deported immediately.
Illegals can't vote already.
Oh, really? They can't vote already? Sure, go to California where you don't even need a driver's license to vote. Go to Illinois where you don't need a driver's license to vote. It's called provisional ballots.
Okay, now we have somebody talking over other people, and then we have this inbred Arab that's talking.
New York State.
No, shut your filthy fucking Arab mouth. You son of a fucking filthy sharmuta. Shut the fuck up, bitch.
What is a sharmuta? What is that?
The whore.
Hey, be nice to our Arab friends. They don't come in here often. Like,
no, we want them out of our fucking country, just like you, Beaner. Stop.